So, have you heard of this new phenomenon on YouTube? This I have no friends phenomenon?
You've said you have no friends.
This is true.
I thought to myself, hey, like when you get to this age, you just don't have friends anymore.
I am 25 and I have no friends.
I'm 21 years old and I have no friends.
I am 25 years old and I have no friends.
I don't feel like I have any supportive, real female friendship.
Where people are making videos claiming they have no friends. I mean, one day I was on YouTube. I was looking through my recommended and I saw one of those videos. Never seen anything like it before. So I had to click on it. I was curious. I mean, I wanted to come to some sort of conclusion. What's wrong with them? You got to see something really bizarre about this person for them to be just saying, I have no friends. But as I watched that video, I realized they looked and seemed just like anybody else. And I started watching some more. And every one of those people seemed just like everybody else. And then I had to think and I had to realize that a lot of people are going through this. And so the question is, how is this phenomenon coming to pass? Well, I'd say, let's start at the beginning of everything. Let's go back to preschool, right? See, in preschool, they teach you politeness. Hi, good morning, thank you, those type of things. And those things will make people say, oh yeah, that guy's polite. I can be around him. But they don't teach you how to build a friendship. And not just acquire that friend, but maintain that friend and maintain that friendship. The notion that relationships or work should be something that is, something that should be mentioned at a very young age. So people understand that it's just not, you guys aren't going to just, like, if you guys are friends for, an extended period of time, it's not just some sort of miracle. It's actually happening because certain things were being put into play in order to make it last as long as it has lasted. And sometimes some of those things are being done for you, right? Like sometimes it can be the reason why your friendship has been maintained is due to circumstances such as you're in the same school, right? So the school is putting you in proximity. It's doing some of the work for you, or you're living in the same neighborhood. But what happens when you move? What happens if you decide to go to college and you have a friend in one college and you have another friend and then your other friend's another college? Like, how are you going to maintain that? What about if y'all are friends in college and then you will get a job? Let's take this word friend. Think about it, friend. What does it mean to you? That's my friend. That's my boy. That's my girl. I see these terms thrown around so much. But what do they actually mean? Well, for me, what it means, a friend is somebody I'm going to be there through thick and thin. It's not just about the good time, the party. Because when things are going great and everything's wonderful, it's easy to be friends, right? But what about things aren't going so well? You still going to be the friend there? Will you have each other's backs then? A friend to me is like, it's like blood, or deeper than blood. It's a serious thing. And are you willing to sacrifice for that friend? Are you willing to fight for this friend? Or even die if need be? So compared to my definition, and the way that people you see throw it around, you can see a lot of people really don't have friends like that. What they really got are friendly acquaintances, right? Because a lot of these friendly acquaintances that these people have that they're calling friends, the chips are down, and something goes left, something goes wrong, and you look to see who has your back, they're gone. They're gone with the wind. They're out of there. Casper style. Also, this is a cautionary tale. Don't put your spouse on a pedestal. Don't attribute too much to them. Some people are like, oh, she's my sun, my moon, and blah, 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 blah. Oh, stop it. Stop that nonsense. They have their proper place, and you keep them there. If not, you want to put them on a pedestal, something happens, you'll pay the price. And I don't want to hear, oh, well, my father is my best friend, or my mom's my best friend. I don't want to hear that. Your dad is your dad. Your mom is your mom. And if you don't agree, think about it. When you're interacting with your parents that you're calling your so-called best friends, your parents are your parents. And they're going to talk to you in a way, at times, that your friends are not going to talk to you like. They're going to be the ones telling you, because I said so. Right? Like, who's the parent? Even when you're grown, you may have a full beard. You may have kids of your own, but they'll still do it because they are your parents. So here is Niki Lauda. He was an F1 driver, and not just any F1 driver, one of the best of all time. And he was also a successful entrepreneur. So he had great success on the racetrack and on the financial side off of it. So much, in fact, that when he died in 2019, he left behind about a good 600 million, I think. But he still had his struggles personally and specifically with friendship. On the Graham Bessinger show, he tells Graham that he has no friends. And the reason he has no friends is because he found that people wanted to be his friend based on what he possessed versus instead of who he actually was. And I understand, in a capitalistic society, money is important. But on another level, it is nothing. And it's been proven to be so. Look at the Great Depression. People were walking around with wheelbarrows full of money just to buy something like a loaf of bread. So that thing that seemed so valuable to them at one point was now damn near worthless. And also, if you're my friend for what I possess in my bank account, in my financial portfolio, that means I could transfer that to somebody else, and immediately you would just become that person's friend because you were only there for what I had. What you actually are, though, can never be transferred. Who you are, your personality, it's so unique in fact that there will never be another you. You're the one and only you that there is. But when people decide they would choose what can be transferred over something as valuable to you as who you are, and it is actually more valuable. Not just to you, but it actually is more valuable. They choose the thing that can be transferred over that. I can see how that could be quite hurtful because it's almost like they're invalidating your own existence. And when I saw that, when I heard him talking about that, I could see the sadness in his eyes, and it made me very sad, because despite all the success that he's had, he couldn't buy those things. He couldn't buy the friendship. He couldn't buy that, and nobody can, quite frankly. So he died in 2019. I do hope before his death he was able to make some sort of friend or friends before his time have passed, before he passed. Rest in peace, Nicky Lauda. And the next person is a guy called Camelot 331. He is 31 years old. After college, his friendships, they were withering. And due to him being in a different location, because people tend to move after college and work. But he got married in his early 20s. So when his friends were disappearing, she became his best friends forever. As he said, though, what eventually happened is
I got married, and she became my best friend. And in 2016, she didn't want to be my friend anymore. Didn't want to be my friend anymore.
So in 2016, he was divorced. By his late 20s, he realized one day he was friendless. This is part of the reason why I say your spouse is your spouse and your friends are your friends. They're not supposed to conflate. Your spouse is not supposed to be your friend like that. Like, everything's supposed to have its place. I mean, have you seen the divorce rate? Have you seen the divorce rate? It's quite a gamble. And another thing, right? When it comes to, when I was listening to his story, I was feeling a lot of empathy for him. And then I had a thought. A part of why this man ended up being friendless in his late 20s was a lack of foresight. But that's not just him. It's a lot of people in different things. Just like, for example, actually, you know what? It's not just a lack of foresight. And it may not actually, let me change that. What I think it is that people see other people doing something and they know it's painful, but because other people are doing it, they do it too. For example, you have people who, they go to college and they have these exorbitant loans. Loans they have no idea how they're going to pay back. And you ask them, how are you going to pay them back? And they say, I don't know. And a bunch of people just do it. They say, I don't know how to pay back these loans. And, their loans may be so exorbitant, when their kids are going to college, they'll be paying loans just like with you. So, daddy's paying loans and mommy's paying loans and the kids are paying loans. And for some reason, I don't know if it's human nature, it's almost like if other people are suffering, right? If we suffer that same sort of suffering with them, it's almost like we think it's not going to be as bad, but to me, suffering is suffering. So that type of mentality overall needs to stop. And the next person I'd like to discuss is a man called Ben Mays, 25 years old. And the basis of what I got from his story is that he is suffering from social anxiety. And he said that he had tried some medication and there were some side effects, and so he stopped it and tried some others, and it seemed like it worked better. But, when I heard him say social anxiety, it made me want to go look up the definition. So a definition that I found was a chronic mental health condition in which social interactions cause irritation and anxiety. And when you look at that word chronic, right, it means it can be lifelong. So you can be dealing with this your whole life. Just wow. And I've been wondering too, since I've heard not only he talk about it, but other videos that when people are saying they don't have any friends, I've seen some of them also bring up this social anxiety. And I've also heard it in my regular life as well. And so I'm wondering, is it that it's technology, maybe social media, and lack of person-to-person interactions that's making some of this happen? I wonder if the rate is increasing. I wonder how many people actually have this that are never getting this diagnosed by a professional. And it's probably way more than the general public realizes. So the last person I'm going to talk about is this girl called Myra West. This has to be the saddest story. She's 21 years old, second to last of 8 kids. I don't think I know any families personally with 8 children. I mean, damn. So she claims her parents put in less effort as they had more children. And she wasn't socialized from 0 to 5 years old. She was just homeschooled. And she had no friends. Then from 5 to 12, I guess there were some teenagers that were around her where she was at. But I remember myself in high school, even in the 9th grade, I wasn't talking to no middle school kids. So they basically ignored her. And from 5 to 12, she also had no friends. And she talked about how she felt very jealous about her older sister who did have friends. I could see how that could be very traumatizing. And then it seems that after 12, she was put into a regular school. But people that were at her school kept their distance from her in a social manner. Like they never really got too close. She was never involved in any drama. But that can actually make somebody feel worthless. Like I'm not even worth making an enemy out of, right? Like, because remember, people, the opposite of love isn't hate. It's indifference. So with this girl, why this is, so sad is that this was actually the work of parents dropping the ball. And I hate when I see some parents, due to their behavior, messing up something in the kid's life. But this might be one of the most essential things. If she's not connecting with kids the way she's supposed to, it's because she lacks adequate training and the socializing that most people get. Like there's a reason why you socialize kids at a young age. That connection, things that are even said without words, the warmth and all that. If she never got all that, it could be very difficult to try to pick that up, after 12 years old. It's just ridiculous to me. And the rest, and she goes into detail about other things, and quite frankly, it was very, very tough to hear, but it was very enlightening. There's also the concept of the time difference. How many parents have had this discussion, and I know my parents have, of trying to explain to their children how big Michael Jackson was in his prime? Conversations probably went something like this. So, Michael Jackson, was he big like Taylor Swift? No, not like Taylor Swift. Even bigger. Oh. What about Beyonce? No, not like Beyonce. Even bigger than that. What was he? How big was he exactly? Well, Michael Jackson was how can I describe it? Well, just take my word for it, because I said so. Of course, the kids will never really understand how big he was, because there are certain things you're not going to get unless you're actually there. So you can feel the electricity in the air. The whole world reacting to something that big. Wrapping up, there were 4 ways that people were left friendless that I discussed today. And that was success, that was social anxiety, advancing through life, and parental sabotage. Each unique in its own respect, but all with the same end result of being friendless. Now, since we're at the end, you might be thinking, well, Lex, thank you for showing this phenomenon of I have no friends phenomenon. But it's left me feeling sad and hopeless and not knowing what to do. Well, I'll tell you what to do. Here's the solution part. Here's the good part. What you can do is you go out there and you practice. If you have no friends, go out there and you practice. You do public speaking. There are apps where you can meet people, and you treat making friends as a skill that you can develop. And it might take you years to get, but you don't give that up. Keep on working at it. And for people that already do have friends, think about the future, right? And think about, well, if I move XY to XYZ, what am I going to do to maintain those friendships? So that means actually calling your friends, not just texting them. Let them hear your voice. FaceTime them. Because if the only reason you don't have a friend in the future is because you didn't put in the work to maintain that friendship, you're going to regret it. And lastly, right? Actually, you know what? I have some more good news. My favorite story actually, was the person who I was most critical of, and that was a Camelot guy. And let me tell you why. When he realized he had no friends, he eventually reached out to some of the people who he's been on contact with on YouTube. I think they're his subscribers, and they got together and they met up in a public area, and he was sitting down and realized these are actually my friends. And so he actually did something about it. He didn't just sit there and say, oh, you know what, I have no friends, it's all hopeless. And very lastly, if you go onto YouTube, you may see some videos of people saying why it's okay to be alone and not to have friends. That is utter and total rubbish. We are human beings. We're not meant to be alone. You can exist by yourself, but you're not going to be living your best life on your own. So get that type of thought process out of here. Yes, you don't want to surround yourself with toxic people, because those aren't your friends. However, it shouldn't be either, well, I'm not surrounding myself with toxic people, so I just rather be alone. No, go out there and make some friends. And you'll make some friends that you can cherish until your dying breath. Thank you. This has been Lex's Moral Compass. I'd like to thank all of my friends who were encouraging me and had my back so I could even make this first video. And now you're hearing it. Power of friendship. Peace out, y'all.